Good morning. It's Thursday, about 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so the market has gone up a little bit further than I thought it would. So it did a couple gaps here, same with the Russell. And, I still believe these markets are going to come down. You just have to find out where the top is. And this went up a little further than I thought. But the thing about that is, if you're in a longer term trade, then of course you would stay in your position as long as the market doesn't go way up here, and then of course you're going to lose everything you have. So you have to decide what you're going to do. So there's a couple things I'll talk about here. But anyway, what's happening now, there's a good chance that this will come down and fill these gaps today. Mentioned before, the NASDAQ and the ES seem to lead the way up, and the Russell and the Dow seem to lead the way down. So the NASDAQ's going up here. You can see it's up about 135 points. It's actually not that much. So the last couple of days, these haven't really been moving. It haven't been making big gains. Kind of smaller gains here and there, but it's still going up. And you can see the NASDAQ still pushing it a little bit further, but the Russell's not doing that. It's actually coming down a little bit, and so is the Dow. So it's either that the NASDAQ's going to lead this even higher, or that the Russell and the Dow are just going to bring this thing down, and these are all going to collapse. So let's see if these two gaps are filled today, and if not, then the market's just going to keep going up and see how far. Okay, so here's the daily chart on ES. So what I do, instead of looking at indicators, I look at charts and I look at patterns. They develop patterns, and sometimes the patterns do change. Of course, the patterns are a little bit different than they were back in 2021, 2022. Actually, 2022 is when he started to go down. And then everything kind of switched and changed. But you'll see these in the patterns, and you'll notice that the market usually goes up maybe 2 to 5 days, and then it'll start to either balance or start to head down. And you can see that here. You got 1, 2. There's a third day, and then there's 4, and then a 5. It started to come down. And you got down. So you got the bottom here. So you got 1, 2, and then it came down. Then you start again, 1, 2, 3. And so this can go up another 2 days, or it can start coming down now. So anywhere from 2 to 3 days is what I look at. This one came up 1, 2, and then it came down 1, 2, 3, and then it balanced out. Then it came down 1, 2, then it went up 1, 2, and then 3, and then it balanced out. It came down, and then you can count this as 1, 1, 2, 3, or it could be 1, 2, balanced out. And then here's another 1, 2, and then it started coming down. So far that seems to be the pattern that it's been following. So if that pattern is still intact, then you've got 1, 2, 3. So this can start coming down any time. I would say that it's probably going to come down now. But I know I said that a couple days ago. I thought it was going to start coming down at this point. And so when it switched and came up here, now it's got to go through that same pattern process again before it comes down. So it wouldn't be unusual if this thing started to come down today. It could go up one more day and then start coming down. But then we got all these gaps in here. And that's pretty unusual if you look at the markets. There's not too many gaps on the way up. There's more gaps on the way down. So this is a little bit unusual here. So let's see what this market does today. And just to point out, sometimes I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not right all the time, of course. And I would have to get out with a loss. And sometimes I take a pretty good sized loss. It's pretty rare when I do that, but I could. And that's just what happens. You just don't want to take a lot of those. You want to have more gains and losses, a lot more gains than losses. And also, you hear about traders have been trading for a while and they're still blowing their accounts because they have this certain system and then the market switches and that system is obsolete, but they try to stay with that system. And then, of course, they keep losing. And then they fall into that same trap as beginners do. They just don't want to lose. They want to hang on, and they blow their accounts. And that's what happens. But there's a certain money management system I have to prevent me from doing that. And I'm going to add that into my course. I've got my course is going to be pretty comprehensive and pretty detailed. It's going to talk about everything, the psychology of trading, everything, money management, different trading strategies. I'm just throwing everything in there. So the reason why I mentioned as far as losing money is don't be afraid to lose money. I know people tell you don't blow your account, and there's all kinds of videos on how to prevent you from doing that. But honestly, sometimes maybe some people need to blow their accounts in order to learn. But if they do blow their account, the best thing to do is to learn from that. If you don't learn, then of course you're going to keep blowing your accounts and then eventually give up. So you got to learn from every lesson, every situation. So don't be afraid to lose. I've got a couple examples in my courses about how I started losing money and it just started going down to almost nothing. And then I built it back up. I had my account go down to even $200 a couple times, and I built it back up. But I did the same in my business too. I had a auto parts business that I was failing, and I had to restructure it, and I brought it back. So it's possible to do that. So I call this also a game of life because this is really going to test you. It gives you instant results on what you're doing, what you're thinking, what your strategy is. It's not like normal life where sometimes it takes a while to learn. This tells you right away what's going on. Okay, so that's it. There's really not much to say other than we'll have to wait and see what happens today and see if this market does come back down or is it going to come back up. I think it's, pretty stretched out. Like I said, I thought it was going to start coming down at this point from here, but it didn't. Came up another 2 days, and we have 2 gaps in here, so that's definitely a negative for the market unless we're in a bull market, and I don't see that happening. And if we are still in a bear market, then this market's in trouble. It's going to start coming down and maybe coming down hard. So as far as entering in any positions, you could buy some put options here. I did mention that you could buy it here yesterday. You still could buy it here. As long as you buy put options that are further out, you're okay, you're safe. Because this market can't keep going up for a whole month. If you bought, let's say, May options, eventually it's got to turn around. In worst case scenario, you'd probably break even. But if you're longer term for, let's say, a month, then that would be a good way to trade it and see, watch this market. I would probably wait towards the end of the day and maybe get into a position and see how this market plays out. It's still early, still a lot of time for trading. So the market, I would think, wouldn't go down right now. It's pretty early. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so in summary, you can still buy some put options here, buy them at least a month out, and just sit on them because I believe this market's ready to retrace. Like I said, it came up here, and it's already stretched out 2 days with 2 gaps. That's pretty negative for an uptrending market. And that's it. As far as day trading, day trading goes, you'd have to watch this stuck in this balance area. I would definitely watch I would watch the Russell and Dow and see where they're going. But if they start breaking down, along with the NASDAQ, then this might be a good trade to short, to come down into this area and then feel the market, and it might come down even further and maybe even fill this gap today. It's possible for that to happen, but I would think it's definitely possible for it to fill this gap today. So that would be a good day trade too. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.